Photosynthesis is how nature sustains life in plants and flowers. And thanks to the photos of one talented photographer, we can now see the beauty of nature close up. Here's Rita Braver.
In this season of renewal, these photographs are much more than mere images of flowers.
I'm trying to show you a glimpse into creation.
And photographer Jonathan Singer does show you every curve and vein in every petal of these blossoms. The pistil, and the stamen with its delicate anthers and filaments. Ah, these are gorgeous.
These are fringed tulips from Holland. This is a chrysanthemum from Japan, and it's a beautiful color and a very rare specimen.
In fact, these photos are so unusual, they can now be found in bound volumes in the rare book collection of the Smithsonian Institution's Museum of Natural History, usually restricted to books published before 1840. So how'd this get in here?
Well, because it's unique and valuable, so that makes it rare.
Leslie Overstreet, curator of rare books at the museum, says these are the library's only huge volumes known as double elephant folios, except for the Birds of America drawings by famed naturalist John James Audubon.
In terms of the achievement, I think the Audubon was a worthy model, and Jonathan lived up to it beautifully.
This is a bearded iris.
But the tale of how these books and pictures came to be made is the unusual story of an unusual man. How long does it take you to get from home to the office?
From there to there? Oh, about 2 minutes.
It's just 2 minutes to Jonathan Singer's Bayonne, New Jersey podiatry practice.
Good morning, affiliated foot surgeons.
He'd always been interested in photography, but did your mom want you to become a doctor?
Oh, absolutely. There was no stopping her.
You don't know.
Singer learned to love life as a foot doctor and surgeon.
It's a passion. It's a wonderful thing to help somebody like that. Any drainage at all?
No drainage.
But then, a few years ago, Dr. Jonathan Singer developed Parkinson's disease. If you hold out your hand now, is there a tremor in?
Let's see. Then it gets worse. It took me out of the operating room because I refused to operate on anybody knowing I had this problem. I swing it off this way. Gives a little bit of light, not too much.
To fill the void, he turned back to photography.
I'm showing you tricks that took years to figure out.
Using a technique he demonstrated at this college workshop, shooting with a Hasselblad camera in very low light, a style borrowed from Dutch masters. Vermeer, Bruegel, Rembrandt.
Remember what the Dutch used to, how they painted, like Rembrandt. Think of the light that they had available to them. They had candles, they had windows. This is color perfect.
And frankly, he fell in love with his own images. Just listen to him at a recent gallery show of his work.
The texture it's beautiful. The lighting techniques just make it float. I have to tell you that it is color perfect. It is compositionally exquisite.
But was it really good enough to get into the Smithsonian? Can anyone just donate something if they feel like it? No. And when John Kress, research scientist and curator of botany, started getting emails and letters from Singer asking if he could bring his photos by, Kress wouldn't let him.
Some people come and say, I went to the Smithsonian, I showed my work, and it's now, famous and important, when that's not always the case. So Jonathan and I decided to meet off campus at a local gallery, and we just laid, it must have been several dozen of his work out on the floor, and I knew at that moment that it was the right decision to see him. and to see his work, and I was quite taken by it.
Taken enough to allow Singer to photograph rare and endangered species Kress had collected around the world.
This is like the jungle. Follow me.
For a year and a half, Singer made regular trips to the museum's research facility, searching out plants in bloom.
That's quite a plant.
Yeah, quite rare.
The result, that 5-volume set titled Botanica Magnifica, which includes both the Smithsonian specimens and other Singer photographs.
Even though they're photographs, Jonathan has captured the light such that they look like a 17th or 16th century painting.
John Kress calls it a marriage of art and science.
He was showing things in the photographs that I actually hadn't seen when I found them in Burma or Thailand or southern China or wherever. This flower, it's a ginger flower, is only about that size.
Oh my goodness.
So Jonathan has captured it with his close-up lens so you can actually see the cell structure of the flowers themselves, of the petals here.
No expense is spared to make the huge volumes.
Thank you.
Each binding is meticulously handcrafted by Tini Mura, one of the most respected bookbinders in the world, who has to smoothly piece together sheets of goat skin.
I had to incorporate like seams where there's 6
Oh, I can
skins
see.
on
It's
this
hard to
book.
see,
Yes.
but because they match so perfectly.
And the person who, shall we say, footed the bill for everything? None other than podiatrist photographer Jonathan Singer.
So we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars here.
Hundreds, between $500,000 and $800,000, I would imagine.
And what did your wife say when you said, honey, this is what I'm going to do with our money?
She said, go for it. I cleaned out my retirement account. I cleaned out my bank account. I cleaned out everything.
I think people are going to hear this and they're going to say, why in the world? Is there something wrong with this guy?
Probably.
But as you can see, there is nothing wrong with the photographs Jonathan Singer has created.